Hello, and welcome to Movies We Did, the podcast about film, antiquity, and everything in between. I'm Colin McCormick.
And I'm Christy Butler.
And today we are excited to be hosting our very first joint watch party of Season 2, Episode 1 of Romulus, the Italian historical drama television series created by Matteo Rovere. And joining us for this watch party are repeat guests and our good friends, the Partial Historians. So please give a warm welcome to fellow podcasters and Mnemosyne collective members, Dr. Fiona Radford and Dr. Pina Greenfield. Fiona, Pina, welcome. Thank you for having us. Thank you for coming to our show. All the way around. I got it backwards.
Excited to
part
be
of this
here.
experiment.
Absolutely.
Proud to be
And
representing the voices down under.
excellent.
Bringing the Australian accents into the mix.
It's important. I mean, it is an important and, like, dare I say, vital element to the sword and sandal genre. I think the movies would not be the same without the Australian and Kiwi input.
This is true.
Where was I? I mean, hell, Russell Crowe. But
Yeah.
where was I? Finally, we have a chat. So if you're joining us today live, let us know in the chat where you're hailing from.
Yeah. And as we mentioned, we're doing this for the first time. Colin, Elijah, and I have experimented with some live stream watch parties before. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how it's going to work this evening. And if you're watching along, you do have the option to hop onto Tubi as well. And you'll have to, like, I don't know, use two different devices, or if you have a giant computer screen, open a new window. But here we go. So if you are only joining in on the live stream, you'll not be able to see or hear the episode as we're reacting to it. However, we'll keep a running commentary going as we watch, and then we're going to pause for deeper discussion of, like, the scene we just watched or anything along that line. So that will be similar to what you would hear in a podcast episode. We are going to do our best to avoid spoilers beyond this episode. So if any of you decide it sounds cool and you want to go watch it, we will not tell you Titus's hygiene habits or things like that specifically. So you can go to episode 3 and find out for yourself.
Or wait for our own review, which is coming out imminently.
Yes. However, Romulus is available to watch on Tubi if you have access to that streaming service. Best of all, it's free to watch with ads, which is where we plan to pause our own viewing for discussion. We'll provide timestamps and coordinate when we're starting or stopping the episode, so you can watch along with us. The link for the episode is pinned to the top of the YouTube chat, so if you want to follow along, you're able to do that. Have at the episode itself, again, Season 2, Episode 1, Ofessa. And then chat, you're welcome to post any questions or comments you have about the show, the early myth and history of archaic Rome, or anything that's brought up in the discussion. We simply ask that you be respectful, and if we start running into issues with that, we will close down chat and we will just talk amongst ourselves like we do. So keep it fun. We're excited to hopefully have a lot of people join in the conversation. So as part of that, if you're here, if you're listening, let us know in chat if you've had an opportunity to watch Romulus before this watch party and what do you think of it so far. But I think beyond that, we're going to give everyone a sec to find the link, pull it up if they want to pull it up. We're going to be starting at timestamp 00. And I'm going to push play and we're just going to start enjoying the show. Does that sound good to you guys?
Sounds good to me.
Definitely.
Bring it on.
It's been too long since I've seen Yemos' dreamy eyes.
Oh, I know. I know. And Titus's shirtless outfit every time.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a
so
soft spot for him down to this man.
Yeah.
we're starting at 0000, and I'm going to push play in 3, 2, 1, start. And all you're going to see is a black screen for a while, so bear with us.
The dramatic opening scene.
Sky presents a Sky Studios, Cataleba, something. In collaboration with ITV Studios.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's no music right now either. Now there's music.
Here we go. There we're going. Yeah.
And I love the
like how
opening
they give
shot,
it
except for the arena.
I think they're committing to the date, right?
They are.
753 BC. Yep.
Yeah, really committing to the date. Rome's just been founded. It has an arena.
There's a time jump between this in the first season, right? Does somebody
There
say
is.
at some point that it's like been a couple of years?
Yeah.
It seems like it
I love
must
that they
have
have
because they've now got
coverings.
some buildings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And they have
they've got
coverings. They have
an
the
infrastructure
shades.
going.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Although, isn't
It's,
this technically supposed to be built in the same spot as Velia, which they took over?
Yes.
I was
Yes.
That's
trying
true.
That's
That's true.
I was trying to remember the city. That reminds me. We might pause after the gladiator fight because I did write out a rundown of what happens in season 1,
well,
so you kind of know what's
we
going
can
on.
we
So we
can do
might do
it
that in a
during
moment
because
here.
not a bunch happens, I think, for the first,
In
couple
the
of
entire
minutes.
first season.
Yeah, that too.
Enter the now more manly Wiros.
Right.
It
Yeah.
So I
would be
guess
more accurate if this was like a funeral game.
I
of
mean,
some
well,
sort.
chat can't people on YouTube can't see all the hand gestures that I'm making,
I
but
know.
but we have favorites, right? Amongst the four of us, right? Are we Team Yemos?
And Team Yemos, I have
very-
to admit, yeah.
Very strongly Team Yemos.
Yeah.
I appreciate Wiros's smarts, and I do
Me
like
too,
what
me
they've done with his look for this second season because he
Yeah.
does
Oh
have
my
a
God, do
more
they have
regal aspect
matching
about him.
braids? I think
Yeah.
they have
Matching
matching braids.
Because they're
Yeah.
brothers.
They braid each other, I assume, right? That's just
Mm.
because
Yeah,
like
that's
this has got to be a
communal. That's communal. Get to know each other time is you get in the circle and you braid
Yeah.
each other's hair.
We get to see the
Right, so-
furrow being dug.
Yep. The
Yep.
Camariums.
They do it
yeah.
together.
Yeah. Which is funny because this is obviously like the moment that supposedly they potentially
Kill each other. Yeah,
Yeah, kill each other. Try and kill each other.
because it's the jumping of the walls that's the
Yeah.
straw that breaks the camel's back.
Oh, and here we've got the Russell Crowe gladiator moment, the
Of course.
sand running through the hands, yeah, in the arena, yeah.
The original touch grass was touch sand. So
Yeah.
Well, also in Gladiator, he does touch a lot of grass in that.
that's fair.
That's true.
I really challenge people
Yeah.
going forward making these types of shows to resist the sand picking up because
Yes.
it's been overdone now.
Yeah.
I think
Dr.
there's
G,
some
just like the sands in the hourglass.
Oh no. These are the days of our lives.
And here we have the renaming, I guess, of Velia as
Yeah.
Rome.
Give me, you guys. I'm turning down the volume on my end a little bit. If it gets quieter for you,
We can adjust in Discord.
Yeah,
We can
okay, cool.
Kind of,
Yeah,
if
feel
you
free to
just kind of
adjust in
right-click
Discord a
hover.
little bit. I'm
not like I
hearing
can
it more than
understand what
hearing you
they're saying
guys. So
Yeah.
I do love seeing like a prehistoric village though. I'm like, oh, it's so
I
cool.
agree, yeah. It is cool, yeah.
So we
Yeah, and
didn't.
it's
We
cool
haven't
that they
talked about
resisted
this
the urge
yet.
to go too fancy, yeah.
The
But
opening.
the opening credits, because like I have a thesis that is the opening credits for shows like these are really, you can kind of tell everything about what you're about to watch based on the opening credits, right? They are roadmaps for the show.
Yes.
Yeah, Domino was
I
very
do
much
like-
like that.
I think the song
Just like
choice
to point
is
out
an
from
interesting
an
one.
Australian point of view that this is an Aussie band song that's been adapted for this
It's in English, which is surprising given
Yeah.
that
That
this
is
is
weird,
an
isn't it?
entirely
Yeah.
European production.
Actually,
And
is it
obviously
an
English is
Australian
not
band?
And it comes back. We mentioned Vikings before, but it feels
Yeah.
like Vikings had a similar thing where I forget what
They
the
did,
song
yeah.
was that show used.
Were they made at around the same time? Or was this a little bit after?
No, Vikings
this
was
was
like
made after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vikings I want to say was like 2011 or 12, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they got some of their inspo from that though, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. There's always got to be a bit of an orgy.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Well,
loved our conversation of the cave orgy for season 1. That's still
Yep. That was definitely a the strangest moment in the season 1 that I remember. The mud orgy.
Unexpected.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it's Tears for Fears, right? That's what they go with.
Oh,
Or am I going crazy?
the song.
Okay.
That
So now
sounds
we
right.
switch to Kures, the land of the Sabines. So we
Yeah.
get introduced to these new people. Or all of a sudden
That's-
they're weird already because they've got masks. What's going
Yeah.
on?
And face well, and
Metal mask.
I feel bad for Pig Girl. Like everybody gets a different animal face mask, and you get like we've got wolf, deer, cow, and then pig, which feels rude, but
And they seem to
And-
have their own set of vultures inside as well. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And we learned that slaves have been running away from other cities to go start a new life with the Ruminales because they don't want to be slaves. And we are introduced to
Sabos, and then
I know. I'm so excited.
Titus.
Here he
There he
is.
is.
Wait
I
a
like
minute.
Just
the
announced
upskirt
Wonder.
shot to introduce him to.
Up the skirt shot, yeah.
Why, hello there,
Rude.
young man.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Hate to interrupt your lounging.
Mm.
His hair's actually a little less stunning in this opening scene than I remember like later in the season.
Yeah. Maybe because it's
It
dark.
gets more glorious, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a spoiler. Whoops.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised he's not painted in gold at some point, frankly. Like, I feel like I'm mashing up
I
Well,
that
know.
scene with
Yeah.
They've like
Spartacus.
they've chalked him up, right? Like he's kind of got like a sort of patina of what would
Yeah.
you even call it? Like concealer or something? Like,
Yeah, they've
he's,
given him a
like
nice
it's
pasty look. The
Yeah.
idea that he never goes out in the sun, never does any sort of physical labor.
He's like me.
Very, very regal.
Mhm.
I recognize a kindred spirit.
Dr. Rad, are you guys related by some chance?
I know, maybe. But this is okay, so this is obviously in keeping with the whole idea that Rome was set up as a place of asylum, and that's how their population grew.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the Sabines not happy about it apparently.
But and we will talk about it on our episode about how they've kind of Rome is also, at least in this show, Rome is a sort of egalitarian asylum where it's this
Mm.
kind of male female kind of commune thing they've got going on, which means they have to kind of find new ways to navigate the story of the Sabines, because like the need for dealing with the Sabines at all is not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got this interesting setup that's just been described to us. Like we've got this capture of the slaves that were attempting to run away to Rome, and Titus Tatius draws attention to the fact that he is the son of a god, this guy called Sancus.
Mm. Who we wish we knew more about, but we don't.
Yeah, we do have
know.
some references in the sources,
Yeah.
but not a lot to go on.
Yeah.
I,
This
I
is really like the one moment where he demonstrate like actual like proper military power.
or even
It's just-
hunting prowess. Like I could see
Yeah.
like a hunter being as much of an idealized masculine role as a warrior.
True.
So this also, have any of you seen Apocalypto?
No.
Yes.
No, I
Because
have not.
this is a scene like straight out of Apocalypto, where they do almost the exact same thing, where they have these two prisoners and
true.
then they make them run, and then they basically
Yeah.
use them for target practice. Although I don't know if that
Mm.
movie necessarily originated it, because then like Game of Thrones does it also a couple years later, right? With
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
what's his name, the Stark kid, Recon. But like that, this is another like a trope that like I want someone to just track down like every instance of the like make them run away and then shoot them
Yeah. Ugh.
as a design to illustrate
God, that looks
villainy.
painful though.
I like how it's just the last arrow got
Oh,
her.
all right.
It's
I'm
ad
gonna let the
time.
ad play, but go ahead and discuss for a moment, you guys, while
Just-
I let the ad play. And we're pausing. If you guys are with us, we're at 9 minutes and 32 seconds that we paused at.
Here, Chris, you just mute it and then
Got it. Go ahead.
It's a pretty
We-
clear divide between the way Wiros and Yemos are shown amongst their people versus when we meet Titus Tatius for the first time, I think, in terms of, yeah, as you were saying, like the difference between this much more communal, egalitarian society versus clearly highly structured society, which has very traditional ideas around status and what people are entitled to.
and religion as like a top down, right? Tatius
Yes.
he's the son of the god, and Whereas everybody in Rome is a devotee of Rumia. They're all the children of Rumia.
Yes, they're all the children, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I liked that what the show did with Sancus is like they keep giving us these other references that are that we're gonna draw upon from our background in Greek mythology, where like Sancus is gonna be associated with thunderstorms a lot. You're like, is that who I think it is then? Even if that's not really the case.
Has Jupiter been mentioned?
No.
Have we?
No.
Because we've met
No.
Mars, we've met Priest of Vesta, we have Rumia, who's like Rome personified / and then the Lupa kind of. But in terms of like, right, we haven't gotten our like Capitoline triad, right? Minerva and Juno
definitely not.
and Jupiter. They haven't necessarily shown up yet.
It looks to me like the setup might be that if they were a season 3, that Sancus would sort of transform into a Jupiter figure, because I would anticipate that what season 3, if it existed, would focus on is the co-rule, and then ultimately what
Spoilers,
happens
murder.
at the end. Spoilers for history, guys. And then what happens towards the end of Romulus's rule. So, and we're nowhere near that at this point in time. Rome's just been established. It's very early days. The Sabines are nearby very clearly, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
Should we jump back in?
We can jump back in. I was just gonna quick rundown of our 3 main protagonists that we'll probably talk about a lot besides Titus, who we've already introduced, but we have Wiros, Yemos, and Ilya are kind of the main 3. Wiros started out as a slave who in season 1 got abandoned in a forest as part of a weird initiation rite for young men, young Latin men. And then Yemos had a twin brother named Enitos, who they're both grandsons of Numitor, and Enitos is supposed to get the throne of Alba Longa. And then we have Ilya, who is the daughter of Amulius, who is the brother to Numitor. Or
Yeah, they're cousins.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
definitely related.
That's been lost upon me. I have completely forgotten that they're cousins.
That's fair, but like in those times, cousins that wasn't unusual of a marriage situation.
I feel like we're in the scene from Wolf of Wall Street. It's like, so I heard this thing about your cousin. He's yeah, but like it's not like that. And then he explains like, so it's exactly like that. That's what you're doing.
Basically. Yeah, and she originally starts off as a priestess of Vesta, and Amulius wants to become king, so he sets it up so Enitos is killed, makes it look like Yemos did it. So Yemos flees into the forest and meets up with Wiros. They meet up with the Ruminales, who are the children of Rumia, who we've mentioned a little bit, and they're looking for a city for their people. And then Ilya was in love with Enitos and decides to go on a revenge bender and becomes a priestess of Ares, of Mars, I should say.
Fury.
And
I was gonna say,
awesome.
Ares.
Yeah, becomes awesome, and eventually they all come back together. It's learned that Amulius was behind the conspiracy to dethrone Numitor and Enitos so he could take the throne. Ilya is the one who's supposed to face off against him, and I think she tells people that she did kill him, but she really let him go free. And all of the Latin people decide that Wiros and Yemos can go and they can be dual kings of the city of Velia. And now the Ruminales have a home, and that's where season 1 more or less leaves off with us going to season 2. So that's my quick and dirty summary. Check out season 1. It's free to watch if you have Tubi. All right.
Let's get. We're at 9:34.
9:34 and
3, 2,
1, go.
We should scrap like Rumia or something whenever like.
Look at that
horse.
I don't know. Oh, I like the horses don't match at least. I don't know why that matters to me.
What are these guys doing? Oh, they're going to Curate. So the Romans are sending an envoy, a diplomatic mission to the Sabines at Curies.
Yes. which is a very ancient city and 100% probably existed at this time. Yemos.
Mhm.
And Ilya's not been sleeping because she's been lying about the fact that she let her father go.
Yeah.
Mm.
The thing I love
He's
about
been
the show is just how chill and normal everyone is.
Yeah.
Really, tempers are just
Yeah.
they're just it's I feel like I'm at like a Jack Johnson concert. It's just mellow vibes everywhere you look.
Uh-huh.
No one's really hopped up on like religious fervor or consumed with vengeance.
I'm even
None of
enjoying
that
a
kind of
nice glass of wine. Like
Yeah.
that could really make the difference here.
They do build
Right.
Rome
Yeah.
up here as highly egalitarian though, because we
Yeah.
have Ilya in this position as kind of like the military trainer
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
Rome's
Yeah.
soldiers. So
She's kind
all
of
of the experience that she's gained under studying with the priest of Mars and herself being initiated into that means that she's got this incredible prowess.
it's a pretty wild
I actually
like
feel
Vestal
weird kinship
Virgin
with
to
her.
Mars warrior pipipeline.
I split my
Imagine
forehead
dumping
open last
Vesta
year and I
though.
feel weird kinship with Ilya because we both have these two scars.
I was going to say you're very Ilya now. That's true.
Yeah, except she got hers from a sword, I'm pretty sure, whereas I just smashed my head into a wall because I tripped.
Didn't she get smashed in the head by
Yeah.
the priest?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it was with a sword, I'm pretty sure. Like a sword,
Oh.
like the butt
There-
of a sword.
The hilt,
Yeah.
the hilt of a sword, yeah, straight
That's
to the
right.
face.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Versus Mars' dad is much chiller now. He's fun in this season. We like Mars' dad. Priest
Yeah,
man.
Mustad. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mars dad, yeah, the alternative father figure.
Yeah. You know what? In Greek mythology, he's a fairly decent father. Who knew?
Hmm. Saves his anger for the battlefield.
Yeah, he saves his anger for, I don't know, maybe people who deserve it, maybe, I don't know. But we've done comparisons between like things that Ares has done versus things that Hephaestus has done, and Hephaestus has honestly done a lot worse to the other gods than Ares ever did.
So we're cutting
Oh,
back
yeah.
over to these Sabine priestesses,
Yeah,
who
we
are
are.
Yeah,
also just
blood
behaving
rituals.
totally normal.
Yeah. They got blood all over their faces.
Well, and
The
Yeah.
masks
this
are on.
wide-legged stance is really interesting too, because you do see that in iconography, but
Yeah.
like Omphale will have that position sometimes.
And this is where you get the connection to Sancus being like a god of the sky, the
Mhm.
possible connection to Jupiter with like the lightning and the storm and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm just impressed with the level of squats that they're doing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a workout right there.
Every
Rigorous training.
religious ritual that the Sabine priestesses do is like kind of a modern dance class.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is true. The
And
one thing
so-
that doesn't get explained in this though is how do the priestesses become priestesses? Because
Yeah.
Brasilia is the only one that actually has like the ability to interpret the signs from Sancus, and the other priestesses support her. But
the idea
Yeah,
is that it's like this. They have this kind of. I mean, I'm spoiling it a little bit, but I think we learned that the priestesses and the king have this kind of strange symbiotic prop up relationship where like they interpret the god for the king who is the god's son, and so he's like reliant on them to some capacity to like guide him, but then also I don't know.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
well,
Yeah,
because
no,
he was supposedly
we
the
know that
son
he's
of a
very close to them.
priestess too.
Yeah.
Like that's why
Yes.
it gets weird.
They like they birth and create and raise the kings
Yeah.
who then
Mm.
so I
they
guess like well no,
themselves have a lot of power and influence in Curies.
yes.
Curies is
Curies is
definitely
really much more
established
built up.
visually. Yeah, much
Yeah,
bigger.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
The
like the
Romans
only
have just
time we ever
arrived and they're
see
like,
it
uh-oh.
because we spend a lot of time not in we everything is outside of the city proper.
Yeah, because eventually they end up going to Alba Longa, is where Titus kind of takes over.
Shh.
Actually, I just noticed is that all the priestesses are very much physically like Titus in that they're all very like tall, lanky, 90s supermodel heroine chic kind of.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, Wiros, doing his best. My name is Samuels.
He's lost the
Which
braids.
makes
How
He's
sense.
just
long
got a
does it
simple
take
twist.
a guy to grow his hair out that long? That would answer how much of a time skip
Yeah.
we've had here, basically.
Yeah.
I want to
True.
say somebody
Couple of
says, I
years.
may be making this up, but I want to say somebody says 5 years at some point.
It's a good amount of hair.
Yeah.
Yemos always had grey hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Wiros had to grow his to get more.
I'm so glad he did. It
smouldering and
helped
masculine.
it
yeah.
helped because his face is so stark in some ways that it helps soften it a little bit.
He has a bit
For
of a
sure,
young
yeah.
look to him as well.
Yeah.
And I
Right,
think
when we-
the longer hair gives him a sense of more greater adulthood.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because when we first meet him in season 1, he definitely has a like boyish kind of youthful look to him, and that the hair is for sure a sort of visual cue that like he's maturing.
Yeah.
Yes. And here we have one of the mysteries of the season, Ilya, and then the man in the mask, a bit like the Phantom.
Yeah. The phantom
Yeah.
Mhm.
of the soldiers? I don't know how to phrase that
Yeah.
right now.
The Phantom of the camp.
Yeah. But I liked how they played it because they do this with other visions that Yemos has of the priestess of Rumia later on, where like you could almost think that, oh, is she thinking she's still having visions of a god? And if so, what god is she seeing?
Yeah. Very elaborate here with their gold and their painted hands
I would
with the
so
gold
wear this
paint.
for a Halloween costume. That'd look cool.
The hand thing would annoy me because like you could not touch anything or
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah, you've got
It's leaving gold and black paint everywhere.
I do like that they've set up this basin of water as like a pure like showing purification kind of on the border of the camp or the city itself.
Yeah.
this is Deaf Tree, our Wiros's
Wiros'
squeeze.
girl.
Yeah.
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 Who is
She's not
another
happy.
child of Rumia.
Yeah.
I'm with Deaf Tree on this one. The minute I saw those priestesses, I would have been like, nope, we're out of here. Turn it around.
We're out, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
let's
nothing good.
skedaddle,
Did you
guys.
see their priestess though? Don't you remember their priestess from season 1?
That's
Yeah,
true. I mean, you can see her face at least, though.
That's true.
That's true.
I just want one person among the Romans to just say, like, hey, you're getting like a creepy vibe from these Sabines, like, even a little bit. Does any of this seem a little suspect to you?
I mean, that had to be kind of a constant concern though, right? Like that's why there's all these hospitality rules that are in place because it is so difficult to trust other people that you don't know.
Yeah.
But when they wear creepy gold masks and have gold face paint and cryptically allude to taking your time washing your hands, right?
Maybe it's it's like going to an anime con if you are not into anime at all and you see everyone dressed up in cosplay. You're like, how do you handle that?
Like,
And I guess in the ancient world, a lot of things are excused under the, the vein of religion. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
super creepy. What's going on here? Religion. You just have to kind of give
The
into
good
it.
old archaeology fallback. We don't know what it is, so it's probably ritual.
Exactly, yeah. What are the women doing here? Religion.
Sorry, I punched my mic, but Leo's come to say hi.
Oh, hi, Leo.
Oh, hi, Leo.
You can wave, bud.
And here we have this idea of like Rome being different in terms of gender expectations than the Sabines.
It does
the
make sense
Sabines are
that,
like, you're in our place now, so you've got to
Yeah.
do things our way. We have a hierarchy for men and women.
It is interesting that but so the priestesses are also really powerful, but they're imagining their power in a very different role than how Ilya
That's
and
true.
the
Right.
Ruminale are imagining it.
They prop up the kingship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
And this is where we have to get into that thing about this is like the Romans are very appealing to us in that it gives Ilya such a strong storyline and she's a really interesting character, but realistically, there's no freaking way the Romans were allowing a woman to train their soldiers at this point in time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Do we have any evidence that women trained men in military matters in Rome? I'm not sure that we do.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I can't imagine it ever being a thing.
If it happened, I'm sure no one's going to tell us either.
this is
Rude.
bad historying on my part, but there's always the devil's advocate of the like all of the accounts we have of of the monarchy or even just the republic past a certain point are all written well into the Republican and or imperial period. So there's a
That
it's
is true.
you know it comes with the sort of territory to assume that there's a fair amount of sort of retrojecting of ideals back into the past.
Yeah. And
All
the
that
That's
two
being
true.
said, I think Fiona's right. Like there's not much to there's no right a lack of evidence is not the same as the right. It's poor. What am I saying? You can't argue from a negative.
right.
Mm.
Yeah.
There
But
is
having said that,
evidence.
it's a reimagining. Yeah.
Yeah, there is evidence
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
even further back in human history that like big game hunting for hunter-gatherer societies was more egalitarian. Like we have plenty of women that are
Yes.
buried with the same kind of weapons men used for big game hunting. And if you think
Yeah.
about like who,
See, all
you
right,
know,
Ilya, right here.
who
I
gets
feel
to
like
teach children to do things, then I mean,
the
boys
the,
might have
the
learned from women.
the main
So
problem
not a
with
relaxing
this
bath, by
cast
the way.
is I was gonna say the main problem with this cast is none of them have seen Get Out or really any other horror movie because like this whole Sabine camp is radiating Get Out
It's a
vibes,
murder
right?
camp.
Leave.
I liked the chanting humming they were doing because I haven't seen Midsummer, but like the scene I've seen from Midsummer that very much is kind of hearkening to that like using
Oh my
sound
god.
to
It's
like
got half a
replicate
shirt on. I
experience.
never even noticed that.
All
Right.
right. Yemos and we're also meeting Titus Tatius.
Yes.
It's happening,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And
All
he's
the women are
again
having their weird
being
bath.
Yep. They're
and
creepy,
Titus is
creepy
being
interpretive
totally
dance
normal.
Eat from
Eat
my
from my
Right.
hands.
But I mean, visually, he could not be more different to them with his coloring. You know, the way that his
Uh-huh.
clothing is all like drapey and light and gold and barely hanging on his body, whereas they're all like rugged up in their wolf skins or whatever it is they're meant to be wearing.
Yeah.
And he's
Mhm.
either actually taller than them or he's standing on a slight dais because he tends
Yeah.
to
I get
always appear to be taller than them.
Yeah.
I suspect IRL this actor is quite tall, but I also would
He
not
does
put it
seem
past Titus Tatius to just be standing on a little stool all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See
Oh,
again,
no.
totally. Yep.
Okay. The slaves'
Totally.
bodies on
The
display.
murder camp. Yeah.
The comparison we were making to them visually, I was thinking back to the scene where he's drawing the bowstring to kill the slaves, and it's like that gave me
Yeah.
such strong Apollo vibes in the appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it again plays with the idea of like the distinction between these kings right now is Titus believes himself to be the son of a king, and the other two are just like, no, we're just two dudes who are in this
What-
leadership role. We're not
Well-
we're not god sons of gods.
But also what
Yeah.
we're seeing here, and like we talk about how like the Rome as it's presented to us in the show is an egalitarian, but it also the Rome as it's presented to the show and as it's embodied by these two kings is a very like hyper masculine or like traditionally kind of masculine vibe, right? Like the way gender is being performed literally right now between us, right? Wiros and Yemos are very kind of red-blooded men type
Yeah.
versus
Yeah,
the
they're standoffish. They're restrained in their body. The way that Titus Tatius, the actor, is performing this role, he's bringing a lot of sensuality. Like he's willing
is.
to touch his
Yeah,
mouth.
fluidity.
He's his fingers are reaching and he's engaging tactilely with lots of things. And this is something that we're not seeing the Roman men doing at all. They
Yeah.
don't seem to get into that sort of vibe. So that
And he
physical
smiles and
difference in
laughs.
performance is really
Yeah.
important.
and like
Yeah.
like labor where like you get the sense that the Roman kings are like down and dirty and they do their own fighting and cooking and hunting and whatever else, whereas
Yeah.
Tatius is weighted upon hand and foot, right? He's coddled or insulated or it's also like he's like infantilized in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this conversation where he asks who's the real king, and he just can't get
Yeah.
his head around the idea that like one of them was a
Mm-hmm.
slave. And the idea of having two kings rather than
Yes,
rather than
one. There must be a right. It's right,
Yeah.
who's the real king?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we got a comment in from chat, everyone is so clean and well groomed. I'm like, that's kind of a good point too. It's like we're not going to
Well,
really portray what archaic people might have looked like,
well,
which would
as
have been
Monty
probably a lot
Python taught us,
easier.
he's a king. How can you tell? Well, he doesn't have shit all over him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
At least one
But,
person gets to wash around here.
Yeah.
This is the city of the Sabines, where everyone gets to take gigantic, flower-perfumed, creepy interpretive dance baths on a regular basis. And as we'll see later on, spoilers, maybe also bathe in other interesting substances.
We really just can't
Titus?
get over that scene, can we?
No.
But
I just,
definitely
the
the
actor,
Romans
I
look a
feel
little
for him.
grubbier.
Yeah, they definitely do. Yeah, but they're still clean for men who are rugged. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's like charcoal eyeliner, not actual dirt.
What are you saying, Dr. Rad? They're wearing makeup?
Men in makeup?
Men?
What?
Perish the
Makeup?
thought.
Hours
see,
and hours
Titus,
spent
for
on their
me-
hair? What?
Yeah, Titus is wearing more of like he's wearing kind of like a bronzy kind of eye makeup, whereas
Mhm.
yeah, the Roman men, it's definitely like brown, black.
And Titus is also like he's got his face has been whitened. He's got a little he's got a
Yes.
little lipstick going on. His
Exactly,
lips are a
yeah.
little pinker.
I think there's a tendency as well with the way that they present the Romans in general, and even Hosilla later on, is that it feels like the filter or the camera work that they're doing is designed to bring out the skin texture. And
Yeah.
they're either enhancing that with makeup with like freckles and things like this, but they do seem like they spend a lot of time in the sun and it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not true for Titus Tatius at all.
Yeah.
This man
Titus is
has
trying
not seen
to-
sunshine.
No, and he's trying to narrow it down. He's like, I want only one of you to be part of it, trying to break
Yeah.
up this brotherhood. Yeah. Actually, is it weird that he still has underarm hair, given...
No.
My
That's what
mind
I was
just went there
wondering.
as well.
Yeah.
The minute he raised his arms, I'm glad we all had that same thought. I'm like, I feel like he'd shave.
I
I
think
don't
it's
remember
like,
it from later on. Yeah.
I think it's the duality, right? Because like he is very androgynous and very
Yeah.
clean shaven overall of
Yeah.
appearance, but like it's kind of a way to show it's like, no, I'm a grown adult man who has armpit hair, and it's
Yeah. Here we go. The wolf pack are getting suspicious.
mm-hmm.
They're not liking the way they're feeling.
It's dark and I feel awkward.
The name Hernaise
Burning
always
Man is
threw me
not
off.
how I
The
imagined
only
it.
one that had an
Yeah,
accent
yeah.
to it, and I'm like, is this French? Are we throwing in a French? Is there like meant to show a different linguistic influence there?
The Wolfpack people that we meet from season 1 all have kind of slightly different names, right? Whereas like
Yeah.
the Sabines and the Latins have at least like kind of proto-Latin-y looking names, like
Yeah.
Yemos, Wiros.
Yeah.
These are kind of like archaic Latin sort of morphologies or something like that. But then like Herene is Deaf Tree, Tenriki.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These are all
I can never say her name. Yeah, Taran
these all seem like non-Latin or even like non-Indo-European type names.
Yeah. We didn't talk about this in the episode. Oh, okay. Pausing.
We're at a pause. Ad break.
Okay, so ad break. We paused at 28 minutes 35 seconds. Hopefully, if you're following along on Tubi, you're stopping at a similar point. I was just going to say that the other thing about the actor's performance of Titus is that also added to this kind of unnerving element, but also like was really art-filled, was like how slow and deliberate he is in his movements. And it felt like
we're back in.
Okay, give me a sec. It also felt like that's in his voice. Like it feels so much lower in the chest than that seems normal, and that seemed very intentional. Okay, so we're at the 28 minute 39 second mark, and I'm gonna push play in 3, 2, 1, go.
Rumia.
Sound, please.
All right.
We've got
Ilya's
Ilya's
having a
flashback.
vision.
Got to put the sound back on for you guys now too.
I feel like this is in her memory, isn't it? Kind of.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause we've also been told she's not been sleeping, so she's
having visions of her not dead father.
Well, or
Yeah,
the
it's a
man she saw in the
Man in
crowd
a
that
mask.
unnerved her, and she
the man.
can't.
Who I
The man in the
genuinely
mask is on the
thought
throne. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
yeah.
multiple episodes, genuinely thought was a different actor.
Yeah. I had no idea who this guy was for the longest time until he showed up with Numitor.
Yeah, so she's obviously seen this guy and instantly knows it's her dad, even though he's had like most of his
Yeah.
face burnt off.
I
Yeah,
love
don't know
her
and he
that
that
she
keeps
do
going
you
on
does
know who
know
about.
I am?
that.
And I'm like, nope, no idea who you are.
Yeah, I
She
would
does, because
not.
that was her old house, and that was the throne of Albalonga. So she
Nice.
obviously is
Mhm.
connecting those things, and it's like a nightmare in that she's like, "Did I see the man in the mask? Is it who I think it is?"
They gave me
Because
so
only
many
she
clues and I
knows.
Mhm.
still missed it.
Well, so she's the only one who obviously knows that Amulius is still alive. Everyone else thinks she
Right.
killed him.
Right.
Here come the
Yeah.
creepy priestesses.
Right. Here we have another scene of like, this is a get out moment where there's nothing,
Yeah.
clearly nothing good can come of what's happening.
Do these women ever sleep? Do they just walk around creepily moving their arms like Mr. Burns
I feel
when
like they
he
mostly
takes
work
those
at night,
injections?
seems to be my impression. That like a lot of their best work happens at night. I don't know.
I had two
That's
thoughts
true.
as either that because there's like these night scenes go on for a
Oh,
while. And so
Yeah.
either
but
people go to bed really early or
Mhm.
they're
That's
staying
true.
this
up
is
real late.
something that I missed when I watched it the first time. But they say that Deftry is going to be queen for the day. And I
Yeah.
should have spotted the Rex Sacrificulus movement straight away.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh-oh.
PETA enlighten us.
So the Rex Sacrificulus and the Rexacorum are these two sort of overlapping roles in archaic Rome where we're not sure what happens, but it seems like a way of taking pollution from the city and externalizing it. And so somebody is chosen, they're put into this role of king, maybe in this case of queen. They're treated extremely well for about a year. And at the end of it, they are hunted down and killed on the outskirts of the city in order to take all of the bad stuff away. So this
Poor
is
Jeffrey. She doesn't get the treated really well,
doesn't just
does
Yeah.
doesn't
she?
get the year. Just moving straight
Yeah.
on to
Yeah.
trouble ahead.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. It's
Oh,
but it's, oh man,
Mask
is it
man.
like
Yeah.
I'm having flashbacks to older classes on theories of mythology, but the idea of like society needs to put all of its ills and ire and anxieties onto a single figure and then
mhm.
legally or ritualistically sort of punish and chastise as a way to like restore. I mean, I feel like I'm like
Yep.
quoting James Frazier right now, I feel like, but like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to restore some sense of like normality or to keep the peace, there has to be a
Yeah.
sort of like ritualized or like institutionalized act of violence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
very in keeping with Mary Douglas's ideas on taboo and pollution and
yeah.
cleanliness. How do you achieve it?
Because I know there's reports of other rituals and like some Greeks. Like there's a pretty famous one about um you put it all into an axe and the axe is blamed for like the atrocities committed and then it gets thrown into the ocean when you're done. And like, oh, chill version. I could get behind that one.
Yeah, so
Or
much
like the idea,
safer.
or like the idea of like a sin eater, right? Or like
Yeah.
that's like I think a Welsh thing where like a guy goes around and he just takes the sins of everybody in the village onto himself. So he goes to hell. He takes one for the team basically and goes to hell so everybody else can get up into heaven.
Yep.
Amelia thinks she's going
Yeah.
crazy, but she's actually way more in tune with what's going on than anyone
Yeah.
else.
It's very interesting to see because like at the first watch through I did of this, I had the sense of like she's so tired that she's so overwhelmed and not actually like is
Yeah, she's
cognizant.
imagining it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, it's very like she subconsciously knows what's happening, which is really interesting.
And if you're
That
picking
being
up on
said,
vibes between Ilya and Yemos, lean into
Yeah.
oh
those
yeah,
vibes. Yeah.
Cousin vibes.
and
Yeah.
also his brother's ex.
But like
Yeah.
they were never actually together because she was a priestess of Vesta, so like
Yeah.
that
They
was more
spoke to
of
each
a
other through a crate.
longing.
Yeah.
This body
More
paint is
gold paint.
exceptional.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that the headdress, though, even though the gold paint is obviously like very fancy, but the headdress does look like something you could fashion from,
Yeah.
forest goods.
Yeah.
Oh, those
Which
chains on those masks, man.
makes me
Creepy.
curious if like she's going to be the wife of Sancus. Is this alluding to a married figure goddess, possibly, that is not sky but earth.
You shall be the bride.
And Deftry's obviously getting into it,
Yeah.
seemingly.
Have they? Are we to understand that they've like drugged her in some way, or is this just plain old religious fervor?
It does look like it, doesn't it? Because she's kind of like breathing quite heavily and seems totally cool with being painted whilst naked.
Yeah. Because like you could argue that like for the priestesses, you could have like I forget what the moment is called exactly, but you'll still see it in churches and things like that, of like ecstasy through prayer and ritual. But as a not necessarily a believer of Sancus, like, would you also experience that, or is this just a really nice bath? Who knows?
Oh my God, he's wearing a shirt again. I can't believe I never noticed this in the first episode. He
It's
never
his
wears a
drowning
shirt
shirt.
again. It's his drowning shirt, exactly. He only gets dressed when the shirt's going to get wet.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, obviously, with him thinking of himself as the son of Sancus, and then she's the bride of Sancus, and he's the one performing the execution.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like Viking funeral-esque or something like that, or like
It does a little,
she goes up to meet the god by being sacrificed to go be the bride in heaven or something like that.
It does make me question if that would be a role that he would actually hold, because it's got some interesting connotations to like have the son kill the mother. I'm sure Oedipus would have something to say about that, but
okay, this is a great moment with Titus is playing with toys that represent Yemos and Romulus.
I mean, it's kind of, I'm getting Dark Helmet vibes from Baseballs, right? Where it's like, no, sir, I didn't see you playing with your dolls.
He's not at all ashamed.
Yeah, he's so unconcerned of like, what else would I do with my day? This is perfectly normal.
It's the middle of the night.
I mean, sorry, this is a bit of a spoiler, but it is this whole idea of brotherhood that is woven, and kind of this idea of chosen family, I guess. Like Wiros and Yemos, like they keep coming back to this idea of what makes them truly brothers, like that they are bonded in this special way. And Titus just is trying to struggle to get his head around this idea and this and the notion of him not being alone in the world, like basically like the whole season.
Yeah.
It's lonely child, or not, it's only child syndrome. That's Titus's kind of.
Yeah.
He's jealous. Yeah. Can't understand it. It's like the more he knows about them, the more he kind of wants what they have. But he also can't understand it.
Because I see that with like young children who are only children, but like they want a sibling, or they like really think they want a sibling, and then all of a sudden they get a sibling and they're like, oh no, this is not what I signed up for. Which
I'm just going to point out the shirt has been removed. The shirt has been removed.
And the blood has been described as the blood of a god now.
Oh boy.
So there's been sort of a gender transformation through Deftry's death.
And he's drinking Deftry's blood, right? That's what's going on.
That was my presumption. Drugged Deftry's blood, possibly.
I think, yes, I think so.
We talked about like Greek myth allusions that they're using, and like we definitely have that with stories of like Tantalus, or like the people who try to trick others by feeding them their children or things like that.
Yeah, I mean the Sabines, you know, if this is your custom, it's kind of messed up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes you wonder if Yemos had been the one to volunteer to be the one who takes place in the ritual, would Ilya have been the one that was seized?
Presumably,
because she's Yemos'
That was
partner?
what I presumed. Yeah, like it was very intentional.
Yeah, they're not together.
It's kind of a while.
No, but like she's
the
closest. Yeah,
they're still cousins.
But like we can all tell. They haven't figured it out yet for themselves. But like everybody sees which way is the wind blowing.
Yeah.
But
we're
also
it is starting
to
feel the effects of the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a wild psychosexual power play.
Yep. But it's interesting too, because you do really have the sense that like Titus is intending to create a peace treaty with the Romans,
but a subservient one, right? He wants the Romans under his.
Yeah, he'll dominate
on his terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Well,
doesn't
he's
want
taking advantage of
Wiros.
the fact that this Latin League has been disbanded, right? And he wants
Mm.
Rome
Yes.
to join with him rather than
Yeah.
to see the League reformed, right?
Yeah, basically.
God, he's so touchy-feely. Like, he's obsessed with the face. I hate it when people touch my face.
Have you? I reference it frequently, and I'm reminded of it here. But there's a Key and Peele sketch where they go into a vampire den, and Keegan-Michael Key is like a regular guy who's been turned into a vampire, and he's being inducted into this goth leather and lace and like fetish wear. Everybody's like hissing and touching everyone, and then he's just like, "Can you stop that? Can you just leave it? Like, why do you gotta hiss after you
Ugh.
say everything? Like, can you stop like massaging? Like, get your hand out from under my shirt. Like we doesn't have to be like this. Not everything has to be like creepy and sensual all the time. Can we just talk like
Yeah.
normal people?" And like that's my whole energy with a show like this. I'm like, can we just be regular normal people for 5 minutes?
Exactly, yeah.
Under
So-
no
Can we just walk
circumstances.
normally, yeah.
Mhm.
Ilya
Wiros
just
is still-
mentioned that Deftry had
yeah.
been taken in the night and that she was going to perform the ritual of union. And I'm like,
Yes.
Yep.
what
Nope.
do they presume that means exactly? I'm
I
sure
know,
they
I
have
know.
their own version.
Yeah.
This is almost as much the Romans' fault as it is the Sabines for being so kind of careless about all of this.
Yeah.
Not to
They're also
blame them for
unified.
getting. Mhm.
Yeah.
Not to blame the Romans for getting one of their own sacrifice, but like, can we be a little
Yeah.
attentive to like what's going
Exactly. But I love how all the Sabines are in black and gold. They match perfectly. Whereas
Yeah.
the Roman side is all very ragtag.
on? Yeah,
I'm curious,
brown
like
shades
how
of brown
difficult it would to be actually to create black dye
uniform.
that dark.
Yeah.
Mm.
And even all the horses are in black and gold. Nice.
Ugh,
All right.
Oh,
I do like his
the
feather
skull
cape.
cap thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's looking very
feel like it-
godlike in this moment.
I know. I
All
was going
in
to say, it
gold.
almost looks kind of Egyptian in some ways.
Christy
Yeah,
called it where
the
it's very much
feathers.
raw. It's raw from Stargate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was earlier that he had like a feather headdress, which
This is it.
goes to a comment that I know Colin had in the episode
Yeah.
of like.
And his necklace is like a really enlarged bulla.
Mm-hmm.
as
It
a
is, isn't it?
protective
Yeah.
device. Yeah. Fascinating.
And they have the vultures in the tent. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
bird imagery going on here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the vultures
now
have to
this
imagine it's
kid-
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's this kid supposed to represent all of a sudden? Because
Sacrifice kid.
yeah, but they've
The
already
idea- I
done
think
that
that
to
he-
Deftry. Like,
Well, he says we killed one of yours, so now you get to sacrifice one of ours, and the pact is sealed. Also, you're not in your right mind while we're
Yeah.
having you do all this.
yeah,
Yeah. We
Yeah.
picked a child and we killed your lady and you don't know about that
Still
yet.
The way the child is dressed, it's almost like it doesn't culturally. It looks quite distinct. Like the way
It
the
gives-
face is painted.
It gives like Mesoamerican vibes.
yeah.
It does,
Which
doesn't
is
it?
comes-
Yeah.
Mhm.
They are trying to harken back to like how they dress Deftry because he's got some of the moss in his hair and
true.
the gold paint.
Yeah.
Not to the same extent, but
Here come the priestesses who never
alright.
sleep.
yeah,
Maybe they had a little morning nap.
yeah,
A disco nap.
yeah. Because this is definitely not dawn right now, like where
No.
Tobit is. I also really question the like getting your hands with blood to perform the to perform the sacrifice because like blood is already a pollutant, so
Mm.
Mm.
it feels like a
sleep
with
weird
the-
choice.
Although the idea of sealing things with blood,
Yeah,
I mean, sacrifices generally will produce blood in,
yeah.
whoa, the big reveal.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I just note here that the
It is-
Sabines
that-
may have been the first people to invent waterproof body paint?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or they redid it. I don't know. Priestesses never say
Christy,
never.
now that you've evoked Midsommar, I like can't stop seeing
Right?
that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe they borrowed it from this though, because this would have been first.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Well, this was only like 2 years ago, I think, right?
Yeah,
Or 3
yeah.
years ago.
Oh, yeah, maybe it
2022.
was after.
This season came
yeah.
out 2022.
Haha, nice one, Wiros.
Yeah, the big guy.
Send out the big guy with the axe.
Yeah.
Slow
Oh,
motion
yeah.
move. Yeah.
Team
Yemos.
Yeah.
Yemos.
Yeah. This is where we see their brotherhood in play.
And so this was one of those moments that I really upped the like, okay, Titus is kind of terrifying because he got cut in the face. And I thought
Yeah.
for someone who was giving off vibes of being so sheltered, like I
Yeah.
expected
No one
a
makes me bleed
more
my own
emotional
blood.
response to that. And now he's like super chill. I'm like, ooh, I'm bleeding.
Yeah. Touching the
he's
blood and
a
then
super
licking
freak.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like it's never happened before.
And
we
the
see how outnumbered
Romans
the
are
Romans are.
royally
Yeah.
effed in this situation.
Yeah,
Like,
outnumbered by a
they're
lot.
outnumbered.
Yeah.
And my girl Ilya
Titus has got
comes
his
through.
Titus has got his
So,
special
yeah.
occasion makeup on. Yeah.
Well, she'll come through in a
It's
moment.
not looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First,
I
we
did
gotta
wonder
prove
when I
that
was
she's
watching this,
like
how
one
on
of the
earth are
best
they going to get out of this?
fighters.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, wolves, wolves.
We'll run in from out
I
of
was
the
like,
forest.
there's like a gajillion of them.
Yeah,
It's a
they
good
keep
way of
arriving.
demonstrating like why the Romans have to put themselves in this kind of subservient position for the sake of peace. Because even that overhead shot of like, okay, they were already surrounded, and there's even more people coming in
Yeah.
to fight them.
Yeah.
Although this was only their deputation, obviously, not like their whole.
Yeah, they didn't turn up prepared to fight.
No.
No.
And they are now regretting that, I would say.
Probably a little bit.
Wiros still not okay.
And Ilya
Here we
with
go.
the big brain move of the entire season. So for people who can't see what's happening, Ilya has hopped on the cart that has all of the priestesses and is threatening to kill them unless Titus lets all of them go.
Yeah. And this is obviously an interesting moment because it's this series' way of reinterpreting, we presume, the rape of the Sabines or the abduction of the Sabines moment, where instead of Romulus setting up this elaborate sort of trick/trap where Sabine women are seized when they think they're coming to a festival, instead it's a woman seizing other women, and only because if she doesn't, the Romans will be slaughtered. They're just doing it for just self-defense, basically, and they've been provoked into it.
Yeah. And
what you're saying, Fiona, is that Rome did nothing wrong?
Precisely.
Well, and
it all makes perfect sense now. Rome, once again, has a stellar reputation.
Yeah. Except that, like, the Sabines
how convenient
quickly
they're on
become
a cart.
part of Rome. So you're like, but technically they're all Roman as far as later Romans are concerned.
It was super convenient that they were already loaded onto a cart. Just roll
It really was. They were tired. They had a very busy night. They weren't going to walk there on their own feet.
Honestly, how uncomfortable is their lives that they apparently never take off those bloody masks?
That'd be so sweaty.
Here we go. Having said that, it looks like she's about to take it off for the first time all episode.
I can only imagine the amount of breakouts they have on their face from makeup and then metal mask on top of that.
Right? You think it's like a Tin Man situation where like the face paint is lethal, or like do they all have like lead poisoning from it like leaching into their skin?
Titus Tatius is not taking the loss of his priestess as well.
Right. I need those women. Yeah, this was such an interesting. I really thought he was just going to keep falling apart after this moment.
This is where we see how lonely he is. So they are the closest thing he has to family, I guess, and people he can trust unequivocally.
They're mother types, sort of.
Yeah. Waterproof mascara and eyeliner as well. Well done, Sabines.
Yep. I have to imagine it's just like a lot of lead.
Yeah.
I have to admit that
But
like
still, we
shot through the tent flap, I thought was just a cell phone shot. I'm like, when did we switch to TikTok all of a sudden? I'm confused.
Christy, no.
Ooh, we have an alliance with Alba.
Mm.
Interesting. Mm.
So they're going to negotiate with Alba so that they can then attack Rome and do it all the legit way. Get revenge the legit way.
Like that's what's interesting is like Titus is still very much adhering to laws and customs, and he's using it to his advantage. So he's like, oh, we have an alliance with them. We can't. All
Yeah.
right, and that's the
And-
end of the episode. So I'll go ahead and pause that on our end, and we still have a little bit of time to just do our final thoughts. But again, we won't try to spoil anything. So yeah, what are your guys' final thoughts on episode 1 of season 2?
Look,
What a
you know, I
great
like it.
setup.
I'm a fan. Yeah, it's a good setup, and it is really interesting. As I think I mentioned to you guys when we were talking about this for your episode, I always said to my class in the past that there really aren't many modern reimaginings of early ancient Roman history because it's riddled with rape and abduction and fratricide and just all these things that would be really hard to make the Romans sympathetic characters. And yet, here we have it. Totally explicable reason why the Romans abduct the Sabine women.
Challenge to balance historical accuracy with modern storytelling. While the legendary foundations of Rome,
Ooh.
like the story of Romulus
Where's that
and
coming from?
Remus,
Yeah, I don't
I have
know.
no idea.
Great question.
for a psychological depth that few modern heroic epics dare to touch.
Coming from Fiona. The call's coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. What is going on? Is AI hacked my feed?
I think so.
It seems so.
I'm going to turn off my microphone.
Yeah, go and tell her.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
We knew it. You know what? I had my suspicions, but confirmed Fiona was AI this whole time.
She said she didn't have a camera. Now we know why.
Now we know why.
She's been Borged.
I think
Good
this
Lord,
series.
what the hell is that? Yeah.
That was
I think
weird.
this episode has done a really good job of building up Titus Tatius as this sort of fascinating yet slightly you draw back from kind of character where you're like, oh, he's doing some things which I'm not sure that are okay, but he seems compelling as well. So I think a lot of kudos has to go to the actor who's portrayed Titus Tatius for giving us in this opening episode a new character to this series that makes you want to watch more. You're like, what is this guy going to be doing next? I need to know.
Yeah, I just want to echo what you guys were saying about like what I loved about this series is it was so drastically different from so much television about ancient Rome that we've covered on our podcast. And I think we joked at the time it was Ides of March for y'all, and we're like, something without Caesar for once. Wonderful. Love that. And I think it's fun. Like, I like that there's history out there that we can play with, but still be grounded in like the reality. Like, we still have archaeological evidence. We still have some not contemporary sources, but we have ancient sources talking about these stories, and it gives a lot of room to play and be creative. And I'm glad someone did it and not just like, how can we tell Julius Caesar's story in a fun and different way once again?
Yeah. Definitely.
And the way
It's
that
an
they've also-
underrated part.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
No, sorry. I was just going to say the way that even though obviously, yes, some aspects of the ancient world have been glamorized a bit for this series, notably the braids, etc.
Yeah.
But it does very clearly still show a much more archaic kind of way of life than we usually see in these sorts of TV shows or movies and that sort of thing. And you can very clearly see that Rome is the baby city at this moment in time. You know, that Cures is so much more well established, even though, again, it's still quite simple. When you think about the power that Titus Tatius is meant to have, his throne room, whatever you want to call it, it's still, you know, it's not over the top. It's still quite pared back in that it's quite dark. It's not really overly fancy, apart from the disturbing slave leg display that we get in that
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the fact that you can see that Rome is the baby city, and there are all these other established cities that naturally, if you go by the traditional story of Rome, when the Romans approached them and were like, "Hey, how's about an alliance? Why don't you send them some of those fun-looking ladies over to our way?" And they're like, no, I don't think so."
All right, Colin, any final thoughts from you for this episode?
I feel like I'm like Robin Gibb in that SNL skit where I'm like, no.
That's fair. That's fair. You'll get
Talk
Colin's
to your
full
brother.
opinion on this. You'll get Colin's full
Yeah.
opinion on the series on Friday.
I have thought. I mean, I actually kind of, to Fiona's point, I kind of wish that they hadn't massaged Rome's history the way they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like the thing to me that is kind of so interesting, or one of the things that's so interesting about Roman Foundation myths, is how weirdly ugly and kind of ill-reflecting it is. That
Yeah.
it starts with fratricide and rape and abduction and treachery and murder and all of these things, and you're like, this is your own, like, you guys, did anyone tell you like you control the narrative?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have
You're
to
willing
be
to
this
say this
way.
about yourself?
Right, exactly, which like to me is like a thorny issue to grapple with. And is, I mean, it's far more interesting as someone who comes from a country who has made it a sort of point of fact to sort of really create, treatments of our own sort of founding moments is more of a hagiography than anything else. And the fact that it's so opposite with ancient Rome is kind of interesting, but this is kind of the like, I don't know, it feels like a slant sideways angle into being like, but it was like we were right all along. Right.
Yeah. Everybody
else was the creepy weirdo and we were normal.
It was way too much interpretive dance for our liking, and we had no other choice.
Mhm.
We had to
Then
take
my
them
other
all
thing
down.
is I want someone at some point in the show to just call out how like weird and creepy everything else is. I just want someone with like a normal point of view to come in and be like, are you listening to yourselves? Do you see what's going on? Can we just like,
We need the
can we
Greek
think with our
Potter to come
brains?
back. We need the Greek Potter to come back, be like,
It's
y'all.
That's right. Yeah.
it's dated, and like, I mean, it's dated in more ways than one, but I'm reminded of a very old internet joke of classic works of literature. But what if they had like a gay best friend who was like, Juliet, don't do this, right? You're 13. Don't marry this kid, right? Don't buy a roofie from a priest. Someone should just come in and like, or there's another version of like, if these characters had a mom that just came in and be like, no, don't do that. Don't run away with this guy. Don't go over here. Don't get into the tent with the priestesses who are clearly up to no good, right? Don't drink the mysterious liquid Titus Tatius gives you. All this kind of stuff. But anyways.
It's like a
I think it
horror
would have been
film that
interesting.
you can't escape, but like I just saw the horror film Ready or Not, Here I Come, which is a sequel, and you forget that horror, while being scary, can also be hilarious, because like what else can you do but laugh in some of those situations that are absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
The classic conundrum of everybody in an alien movie has never seen an alien movie, so that's why they behave like people in an alien movie.
Yeah. I think the thing that would have been interesting, to your point, Colin, is that I think there would have been a way to tell the story where Wiros and Yemos do abduct some Sabine women for whatever reason. And it would have been, I still would have followed them. I still would have been interested to see where it goes, particularly as we've already seen, and we're going to see more in this season. Sorry, spoilers, everyone, that Wiros is truly a political animal.
Yeah.
And it may even have created some interesting tension between him and Yemos if he was the one who decided that, that this is what they were going to take. Like, what if they got into the camp and realized that things were like super creepy, and therefore they just decided that they didn't want this alliance this way or whatever, and they decided that therefore they were going to just abduct some women and take off in the middle of the night. I don't know. But it could have created tension in other ways, given that they have very quickly passed over the known moments of tension between Wiros/Romulus and Yemos, with the whole, furrow being dug and all of that kind of jazz.
Yeah, the city's already built.
Yeah, exactly. Like we know that according to most versions of the mythology where there is conflict between Romulus and Remus, it is about the foundation. Whereas now we already have the city. It's founded, it's done, and the conflict therefore
Yeah.
has to come later.
That beautiful footage of them both working the furrow together. Oh,
Yeah.
brothers.
Yeah.
I love them
I
so
mean, I think
much.
it would have been interesting just to start from a place where it's like, hey, we have this new city, but whoops, it's all oops, all guys. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what do we do?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
men
Wow,
and
well.
Ilya.
Yep. All
And
I
right.
she
guess that
treats
would
the
have spoiled
military.
the
She's
whole.
basically a dude.
Yeah, I think it would have spoiled the whole egalitarian thing they were going for, though, which I guess is why they had to come up with another reason, because they're not short on women. They
Mhm.
have this whole idea of, women are like us and women are a part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have to
Yep.
find some other reason. But there could have been another reason. And the reason could have been, just didn't like the look of Titus Tatius. He's just a little childlike and
Mhm.
insane looking with his desire to touch faces all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could have had it, I don't know, like instead of showing slave women, like slaves running away to Rome, you could have had it as like, we honestly just need more bodies to help build the city.
Mm, yeah.
It still
Or we don't
sanitizes
like
the
you
original
killing the
story a
people that
bit,
want to run
but
away to us. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Titus is so noticeably different from them. It just could have come from their point of view that, look, culturally, I don't think this is going to work.
Yeah.
You obviously have
Yeah.
a very different viewpoint to us, a different way of life. And, in typical sort of fashion for, I guess, the ancient world, we're just going to decide we don't like it. And we're going to take a stance against it.
Whatever that is, we're not into it, and we're going to be
Yeah.
leaving.
Not into it. Yeah. Yeah. We're
Mm.
much more into furs than gold. It's more our aesthetic. Yeah.
Warmer when winter comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, all right. I'm going to go ahead and start to close this out. A very special thanks to Dr. Rad and Dr. G for joining us for this watch party. If people would like to learn more about you and your work, where should they go?
We have a website, which is, funnily enough, entitled thepartialhistorians.com. And that will give you links to almost everything. But Dr. G, do you want to tell them a bit about the social media side of things?
Definitely. We are active on Instagram, Blue Sky, and also Mastodon. So feel free to come and find us where we do have a YouTube channel as well.
You
Nothing
do.
really
I
happens
tagged
there
you
though.
in it for today's live
Oh,
stream.
look at that.
and maybe something down the way down the line, you guys will be doing some more with YouTube too.
That's
That
the
is our
dream, the hope and
intention.
dream.
That is the dream.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got the
Excellent.
footage, just have to edit it together.
Excellent. All right. Well, look forward to that. And then, as always, thank you to all of our followers. We could not host events like this without your support. That being said, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe if you like what you hear. You can find all our episodes at movieswedig.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you would like to see more events like this, tell us on our socials. Be like, oh, that was cool. Do it again. Bring more friends because we'd love to. You can find us under the handle of @movieswedig on most platforms. And lastly, stay tuned for the upcoming podcast episode where we and the Partial Historians discuss the entirety of Romulus Season 2. It will be on most audio streaming platforms on Friday, April 3rd. Until next time, we're going to say bye to the stream, but not bye to each other yet. So, bye.
And bye.
Bye.